What's going on, YouTube? This is SG1 Sports, and you're watching our college football channel. We're going to give you the best and worst case scenario for the Alabama Crimson Tide in 2023. And really, for the first time in a long time, there is potential for Alabama to not be a top 5 team this year, to not be maybe even a top 10 team this year. A lot of question marks surrounding this team. They have potential, they have talent to be really, really good, but again, there are enough question marks there to where you have to wonder, could this be a pretty down year for Alabama? So let's look at the schedule. It's a really good schedule, and it's a really bad schedule in a way. So we've talked about all these schedules. Of course, we've previewed all the Power 5 schedules. But when you look at this schedule, they have most of their tough games at home. You have Texas, Ole Miss, Tennessee, LSU. Maybe you could argue those are the 4 toughest games on the schedule, all at home. They do have Texas A&M on the road. They have Auburn in the Iron Bowl on the road, which is never an easy game for Alabama inside Jordan-Hare Stadium, of course. But you look at the non-conference, Texas, yeah, that's a very tough game to play in the non-conference, but they get that game at home. So it's a schedule that also has potential for them to have a really good year with all these games at home. But there are still enough challenges on this schedule to where they could lose a few games. And again, this is the first time in a long time where you can look at Alabama and say, yeah, there's a chance that this team maybe loses 3 games, maybe even more than that. When most years we go into it thinking, okay, Alabama's going to be 12-0 or 11-1. Maybe if they have a real bad year, they go 10-2. But this year, it's just different. So many question marks surrounding this team. The quarterback position, for the first time in several years, they don't have a guy that's waiting and ready, or at least it doesn't appear to be that way right now. They have not run the ball as well recently like they used to back in the day when they didn't have great quarterbacks. So just a lot of question marks offensively. The defense also has not been as good in the last couple of years. But when you look at the talent, that they have, there is enough talent there to where this team could be a playoff team. Absolutely. Experience, maybe they don't have that, but they've got the talent. And so let's look at the best and worst case scenarios. I think that you have 6 games that I just feel like Alabama is going to win these 6 games. Middle Tennessee, USF, of course. I realize Mississippi State's on the road, tough place to play, but this is just one of those games. Same thing with Kentucky. Alabama just has so much more talent. They're going to be faster. They're going to be stronger. They're just going to be better than those teams, and that's why we really haven't seen those types of teams beat Alabama unless they were a team that could just score a ton of points and had a really explosive offense. And I don't think we're going to get that from Mississippi State or Kentucky. Arkansas, this is going to be a decent team, but they're not going to be the type of team to go into Tuscaloosa and win. And then, of course, Chattanooga should be an easy win. So that leaves Texas, Ole Miss, Texas A&M, Tennessee, LSU, and Auburn. Now, are there any of these 6 games where you can say, yes, absolutely, Alabama is going to win that game? I don't think so. But at the same time, there's no game here where you would say Alabama can't win or they're going to be an underdog or a big underdog. You just don't really see that either. So these are the 6 games that I think will determine the season for the Crimson Tide. And getting back to what I said, I don't think you can say that any of these games Alabama can't win, and so they could possibly win all 6 of these games. I think the best case for Alabama this year is 12-0. Again, with a lot of big games at home, the talent they have on the roster. I know it's new coordinators, question marks at quarterback, a lot of inexperienced players, but still, it's Nick Saban. It's still top 5 recruiting classes every year. They've got the talent to go undefeated with this schedule. Now, if this schedule was a little bit different, if they had to play Texas and Tennessee and LSU on the road like they did last year, I don't think there's any chance this team would go 12-0. But they get those big games at home, and I think that could be enough to get them to 12-0. Going beyond that, though, I don't know that this team. I don't really feel like they're going to win a national championship this year, and I probably shouldn't say that because watch them go and do it. But they can get to the playoff, I think. I really think they can. And if it all comes together, if the quarterback play is a lot better than we think it's going to be, then yeah, they could win it all this year. Just because, again, Nick Saban and the talent on the roster. But it's going to be tough for Alabama this year. And then we flip around and look at the worst case scenario. Back to these 6 games. No, I don't see Alabama losing all 6 of these games. I just don't see that happening. Nick Saban is too good of a coach. This roster is too talented, like I just mentioned. But they could lose several. They could lose several of these games. I'm gonna put specific games up, but it's really not about those specific games. This is, again, just a worst case scenario. I think going 2-4 in these games is possible with the question marks that they have. And so I'm going to say an 8-4 season is possible. That would be the worst case scenario for Alabama. And again, you can change these games around. Maybe they lose to Tennessee instead of LSU. Maybe they beat Auburn and they lose to Tennessee, or they lose to Ole Miss. Again, any way you want to look at it. These are just the games, Texas A&M, Auburn on the road, tough environments. Again, the Iron Bowl has been tough for Alabama inside Jordan-Hare. Texas A&M's been tough for them to beat. LSU is maybe the best team that they play on this schedule, so we'll put that one in the red. And Texas, with their offense and the way they played Alabama last year, you never know. So those 4 games, I think, are maybe the toughest games. Again, I think Tennessee is going to be a better team than Auburn and maybe Texas A&M, but with that game being at home and a revenge game, I realize LSU's a revenge game too, but LSU and Tennessee, I don't think are on the same levels this year. LSU is going to be really, really good. Tennessee's going to be good as well, but any way you want to look at this, any way you want to change the games around, I think 2-4 in those 6 games is probably the worst case scenario. I was back and forth on 8-4, 9-3, but again, with these question marks, I think it is possible that Alabama goes just 8-4 this year, but then you turn it around and say this team could go undefeated, go 12-0. So a high ceiling, but maybe a lower floor than we've seen the last several years for Alabama. Those are the best and worst case scenarios, in my opinion. What are your thoughts? What do you think their best and worst case scenarios are? Let me know down in the comments below.